are prepping to get Caitlin Clark to the New York Liberty.
There is a photo that is floating around, which we're about to pick up, and many people is insinuating that Caitlin Clark could be trying to plan the outs of Indiana.
Well, they made it clear that they want Caitlin Clark, or they're eventually going to want Caitlin Clark. Along those lines, they made it very, very clear. And that team is the New York Liberty.
Ooh-wee, Fever organization, y'all are in trouble.
Recently, Caitlin Clark and her agent received, captured in a covert underground conference with stars of the New York Liberty who possess the whole WNBA community is going crazy. When fans noticed Aaron, Clark's agent, Kane and Liberty are having a lengthy talk. Sabrina Ionescu, coach Sandy Brondello, Breanna Stewart, following Indiana's terrible loss, the rumors went wild, quicker than the threes in Clark's emblem. However, this is what no one is discussing. Roughly, this might be the unmistakable evidence that Clark has already begun organizing her departure from the fire in the trash can. That is the Indiana Fever organization.
Caitlin Clark had a secret meeting, a little powwow, just a little powwow with the New York Liberty post-game.
And after the game, Sabrina Ionescu says, hey, Caitlin, come to the back with us real quick. Only for Caitlin Clark to see Sandy Brondello standing there, Breanna Stewart standing there, and her agent all lying in wait to pounce on the opportunity to sell Caitlin Clark on the New York Liberty.
The picture went, going viral in 40 minutes and earning 70,000 opinions before most individuals were even aware of the game was ended. And when admirers discovered Clark's representative was in the combination with what appeared to be an extremely serious discussion about business, the conspiracy theories began to circulate. A few termed it all-star planning that isn't guilty. For others, it was outright meddling. However, once you see what I'm going to display, regarding Clark's circumstances in Indiana, you'll see why this encounter may be far more important than everyone else wishes to acknowledge. If you believe Clark deserves more than she's receiving, smash the like button in Indiana, and if you believe she's Liberty-bound, leave a remark. Traveling to New York or having a lifelong fever if you believe she'll remain in Indiana. Now, let's examine the specifics of what transpired on July 16th in the Bear Clay Tunnel, a center that makes everyone wonder the future of Clark.
This, my friends, is currently going viral all over social media right now. That is Caitlin Clark immediately after the game.
You see Sammy Brown Diller got her hand on Caitlin Clark's arm, warming her up, making her feel all fuzzy. They probably brought her favorite chocolate chip cookies. Y'all know Caitlin Clark loved chocolate chip cookies.
Something cooking up. I'm telling you, by 2027, I feel like my precious Cece will be going to the...
Just now, Liberty destroyed the Fever 98. Clark wasn't even playing at 77 due to yet another injury. However, rather than going directly to the team bus like the majority of sideline athletes would, after taking a detour, Clark now has. Everyone is doubting her commitment to Indiana. In the picture, Clark is seen looking truly content, something we haven't observed a lot this season. While deep within discussion with 3 Liberty stars, Clark's hand is in Sandy Brondello's shoulder as if they were planning with their old pals something significant. Ionescu, Sabrina, is leaning close and very likely discussing how much better life could be for Clark in New York. Additionally, Breanna Stewart is standing there as if she were prepared to welcome to the championship team Clark. However, this is what caused the entire situation become a full-fledged dispute. The image was shared by Clark Report with a straightforward caption that caused a stir via the world of basketball. Caitlin's. The group also includes the agent. Those 8 words featuring emojis of eyes altered everything. due to the fact that when agents participate in arbitrary post-game activities, discussions, it's typically not concerning the climate. You're curious about the distinction between casual small conversation and a meeting for business, the existence of an agent.
What's crazy is that her team lost the damn game, but Caitlyn is all smiles. She's all smiles.
Y'all see that lady in the white pants, in the blue shirt next to Breanna Stewart? You know who that is? To the left, you know who that is? That's Caitlin Clark's agent. They even got the agent in on it, y'all. They building.
While Caitlin Clark is speaking after games with other players, that's merely standard business etiquette. However, while her agent is around taking notes and taking part in the dialogue, that's when things start to intriguing. Excel's Erin Kane. Sports management is more than just hanging around the tunnels of rival teams for amusement. She is present to safeguard Clark's interests and make plans for her future. Thus, when fans noticed, Kane is actively taking part in what appeared to be a meeting for hiring, the accusations of tampering began to fly quicker than Clark's help. Excel. It wasn't sports management who constructed their reputation by chance. They stand for some of the most well-known figures in sports, and they are adept at positioning their customers for optimum achievement. Kane has been witnessing Clark's beating mentally and physically over the season when participating in a game for a team that is unable to move out of its own path. This meeting's timing couldn't be more wary if it was their intention.
Listen, the New York Liberty is doing what they got to do, while the Indiana Fever are lollygagging and wasting Caitlin Clark's time.
Because the Fever organization, y'all are a mess and incompetent. From the players to the coach and everybody else, referees and everybody.
We better pay close attention to this. If I'm the Indiana Fever, you better tighten up. You better get your act together, Amber Cox, Kelly Cross-Cobb, Stephanie White. Caitlin Clark might be on her way. They probably telling her where to buy houses. They probably telling her where the best off-season cribs are up in the Hamptons. They listen. They said you think you big in Indiana. Imagine what your brand will be in New York City.
Clark is coping with her most severe injury crisis to date. The Fever are disintegrating in terms of organization, and the reigning champion is here. Liberty, they appear to have answers to every issue she faces. Kane would be performing her duties inadequately if she wasn't looking into every possibility to obtain Clark into a more favorable circumstance. What's more telling about this is how everyone appeared at ease. This wasn't some uncomfortable chance meeting in a corridor. These folks were actually having a discussion on actual subjects, and the body language indicated that it was going quite well. Rondello appeared to be was pitching. Ionisu was offering for sale the dream. Additionally, Stewart was demonstrating Clark what a winning culture looks like. Similar. However, the most incriminating proof, Clark appeared more content in that 30-second, more dialogue than she usually does in games. This time of year,
WNBA All-Star without Caitlin Clark. The Fever star announced that due to her injury, she won't be participating in the three-point contest or the All-Star game.
When your star is as radiant as speaking with the competition, which ought to ignite each, a warning sign in your company. Concerning warning signs, this season had been Clark's worst nightmare. Health. Additionally, it's beginning to feel like not just terrible luck. She has missed 10 games in the regular season this year. That's greater number of games than she missed during her whole, paired with a college education. We are conversing concerning a person who played through everything at Iowa, broke all of a sudden down in the WNBA every several weeks. The most recent injury occurred during the last minute in opposition to Connecticut. Additionally, Clark's reaction gave you all the information you needed to understand her mental condition. She struck her head against the support of the basket and draped a towel over her face like someone who has achieved their ultimate limit. This suffering is more than simply bodily. This is the result of emotional weariness from battling an uphill struggle all the time. However, this is what demonstrates just how awful things have gotten. Clark recently made an announcement. She will not be attending the All-Star Game competition for 3 points on her native arena of Indianapolis.
Saw her trade Cheryl Reeves for the Liberty coach on national TV and flat out humiliate Cheryl Reeves.
Take a moment to consider that the face of basketball for women is voluntary, missing her home's largest stage due to the disintegration of her body. It isn't typical wear and tear. That's the consequences of carrying an whole dysfunctional company on your back. The worst thing, Clark, exchanged especially for Sandy Brondello, will lead her all-star squad as coach. She desired to work so hard with the Liberty coach that she made advantage of her captaincy to make it happen. She can't even take part since the fever has run into the earth. You believe that? The tunnel chat featured some sharp inquiries regarding the differences. What if it were in New York? Clark's a pattern of injuries offers a tale that goes far more than basketball. When the elite, this is how players begin to decompress, typically as a result of the tension and dysfunction is showing up around them. Physically, the fever are more than simply failing on the court to Clark. They're neglecting to safeguard her well-being and profession. And that leads us to the Indiana circus is an absolute circus. Front office fever. Since this is where the story takes a turn for the worse. They waived a 16-year veteran in June and Dana Bonner, 6-time All-Star, after she asked for her freedom. Consider that. A more seasoned gamer than most current coaches had a look at this structure and declared, "I'd want to be jobless than handle this mess." Bonner was intended to be a key component of the problem for their title. Rather, after 3 games, she was benched and had not performed since June 10th. Unexplained private motives. When a respected veteran has a strong desire to leave, is typically the result of a toxic culture. From the top down, Stephanie, the head coach, White has been absent from the remaining games and, right for private reasons, departing. Austin Kelly, an assistant, will hold items collectively. Additionally, White was penalized for discrediting the referees in public and went into a tirade about serving as that made her seem utterly insane. The precise phrase was, "Everyone's getting better than the authorities actually." Professional guidance there. Instability in coaching is producing a ideal combination of dysfunction. Coaches and players seeking trades. Absent games as well as a front desk that appears to be totally overwhelmed by having. They have a real superstar on their team. This amateur is not worthy of Clark. Operating hours, but the most damaging proof of organizational failure Clark has been involved with. Yelling at referees during matches due. She is extremely irritated by the absence of defense. She was captured on video, stating to Michael Price, an official, "That's simply impolite, and I'll call the league on you," as a phony phone signals when your star is threatening to contact the main office on the referees. Your team has lost. Management. The fever weren't ready for the time of Caitlin Clark, and it is seen in all facets of their business, from injury control to veteran relations. In terms of fundamental professionalism, they're failing on all fronts. It makes sense that Clark seemed so at ease conversing with those who genuinely understand how to manage a championship structure. And that's precisely what Indiana is something that the Liberty can provide. Cannot. A culture that has been shown to be successful, constructed by individuals who know how to utilize the talent of superstars. Sandy, not just any coach. Brondello is a WNBA champion twice, who headed the last but not least Liberty to their first title. year. She is fully aware of the requirements to maximize the performance of top players. The three main figures of Liberty are Sabrina Ionescu, Stuart Brianna, and Jones Jonquil, would grow into an unheard-of large four, involving Clark. These aren't gamers who want assistance holding their hands or they have control of their egos. Experts who are aware of what it takes to be a top competitor. The tactical genius of Rondello is already on complete manifestation of her plan to prevent Clark. The defense mechanisms she's made especially for Clark have been replicated by clubs throughout the league. Clark gave up 32 points with 7 threes in their most recent meeting, which signified the first defeat for the Liberty in an otherwise ideal beginning to the season. Rondello's options if she was creating plays for Clark rather than against her. The Liberty Group just received a $450 million valuation, making they are the wealthiest women's sports team history. They own the assets, the coaching, and the mindset of a champion. That in Indiana, Clark has gone missing. When contrasting the two circumstances, it's far away. New York, too, provides a service that small market teams can use. Cannot compete. The largest media platform in Clark's brand would take the world by storm in manners not achievable in Cincinnati. The Liberty don't merely want to dominate and win games. The game and make it even better. That is precisely the type of aspiration that she requires Clark's presence. The defense, the attention Clark receives would also be teams that are entirely different in New York can put all of their effort towards stopping her in Indiana, since there aren't many scoring in the secondary. In New York, you'd having 3 additional players at the all-star level who is capable of controlling games. Clark would get to play basketball at last instead of spending every night playing 1 against 5. Let's now talk about the elephant in the what transpired in the tunnel. Genuinely interfering? The WNBA has received devoted to enforcing these violations. The Las Vegas Aces recently suffered a defeat. Their coach and first-round selection in 2025, Becky Hammond, was suspended for 2 months for interfering with the Diarrheica Hamby, are facing hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines of dollars for giving incorrect advantages. However, the issue about tampering regulations, they demand evidence of real conversations about hiring or inappropriate advantages. A post-game dialogue between the All-Star participants don't always represent a violation, even if it appears really suspicious. The league would need proof that the Liberty were making particular pledges or offers to Clark, the official of the Liberty. Position is most likely that this was coordination for an all-star game. Clark had purchased Rondello to serve as her team's coach, and Ionescu was chosen to participate in Clark's squad. They might say that this was only teammates and their coach preparing for the activities in Indianapolis over the weekend. However, let's face it, everyone is taking place when a superstar. The player is obviously annoyed with her existing circumstances as well as the defense. Champions simply have a lengthy dialogue with her and her representative. It's not a coincidence